Welcome, friends and patriots, to Patriot News Broadcasting. This is Jack. Good to see you all here. We're going to look at some new Juan O'Sullivan out tonight, but first, we'll take a look at a couple more stories and updates since my episode this afternoon. Things with Canada have changed a little bit. Canada has agreed to ensure we have a secure northern border and to finally end the deadly scourge of drugs like fentanyl that have been pouring into our country, killing thousands, hundreds of thousands of Americans while destroying their families and communities all across the country. They will implement their $1.3 billion border plan, and as per Prime Minister Trudeau, will be reinforcing the border with new choppers, technology, and personnel, enhance coordination with our American partners, and increase resources to stop the flow of fentanyl. So that will be good, and Justin Trudeau put out a post basically saying the same thing, commitment to appoint a fentanyl czar and 24/7 eyes on the border. So there is that to start with. U.S. Senate's voicemail system is currently down due to the sheer amount of calls demanding Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr., and Kash Patel be confirmed. My Capitol Hill sources say they are receiving over 600 calls per minute. Pretty crazy, huh? Kind of wild. The tides are turning after Marco Rubio's visit to Panama. They have agreed to grant U.S. Navy ships free passage through the canal to terminate its deal with China, cutting Beijing's grip on global trade, and exit China's 2017 Belt and Road Initiative. So we kind of talked about that earlier. Don't want to stick on that too long. Elon Musk's war on USAID continues. He deleted the USAID agency account. It had almost 1 million subscribers. He said the agency must die. He accused him of funding the creation of the coronavirus and promoting propaganda through agency-funded media. And just a little more on that. The United States Agency for International Development has been abruptly terminated. Every employee has received termination notices. $48.3 billion in annual taxpayer funds previously allocated to questionable initiatives will now be redirected. Thank God. It's about time. Now they can just add some arrests to that and we will be happy.
And here's the reason why Elon Musk and others have been taking a look. Because if you look at the waste and abuse that has run through USAID over the past several years, these are some of the insane priorities that organization has been spending money on. $1.5 million to advance DEI in Serbia's workplaces, $70,000 for a production of a DEI musical in Ireland, $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia, $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. I don't know about you, but as an American taxpayer, I don't want my dollars going towards this crap, and I know the American people don't either, and that's exactly what Elon Musk has been tasked by President Trump to do, to get the fraud, waste, and abuse out of our federal government.
Just one of the opinions out there about what's going on with USAID. Move on, got a couple more quick videos.
Today, staffers for the U.S. Agency for International Development, known as USAID, were told to stay out of the Washington, D.C. headquarters. USAID staffers said they tracked 600 employees who reported being locked out of the agency's computer systems overnight. Elon Musk said on X Spaces this morning, the agency is beyond repair and must be shut down. USAID administers billions of dollars in humanitarian development and security assistance in more than 100 countries. USAID security chiefs were placed on leave after refusing to turn over classified material in restricted areas.
Yeah, go figure. Moving ahead here, a couple more quick things. This in Washington, D.C.
What you doing here? What is your business? Look at this shit. I ain't never seen this shit out here, y'all. Look at this. Look at this. Something is going on. Every street is blocked down. What are they doing here? What? Homeland Security Emergency Management Agency. I ain't never heard of that. HSEMA.
I wonder if it has something to do
Hey,
with
stop.
Benjamin
They about to let
Netanyahu's
somebody off the
visit.
back. Y'all, if this don't look like a purge trap, I don't know what the fuck is. It's motherfuckers in there.
Listen to the mouth on her. Woo! And aside from Homeland Security being in D.C., people were talking about fires beneath the city in Cleveland. Has anyone heard about this at all? Maybe there's more to it, or there's an actual story there. I don't know. But I found that to be quite interesting. And then
very interesting whisper from the ghost this morning. I said, Lord, why would humans give themselves away to the technology? Why would they do that? And Holy Spirit said, because they have forgotten who they are. Holy Spirit said, they are creation and they have forgotten they are my creation. So they'll go to AI and chat GPT, I don't know how you say that. They'll do all that. But what they have forgotten is the greatest gift we have is ourselves. The greatest gift we have is us. We are his creation. So stop giving it to the machines.
Kind of goes with that video I showed earlier almost, where the celebrities were sort of glitching out, you know. Reminds me of that. All right. A couple more quick things here. One more quick thing. Trump signs executive order to create a sovereign wealth fund. Sovereign investment fund is a state-owned investment fund that invests in real and financial assets such as stocks, bonds, real estate, precious metals, etc. Sovereign wealth funds invest globally. Basically, it's I don't know. It feels like something he had to do to replace USAID almost. I could be wrong about that, but I don't know. We'll look more into that as it comes. Now that I've got the stories out of the way, we'll take a look at what Juan O'Stavin had to say tonight. And I will catch you guys in the chat.
Almost got to my theory. Almost got to my theory. Okay, so this is going to get, I'm here at Ground Zero, and I think this is about to kick off. I think the party's getting ready to start. LA is already getting massive protests. Police are showing up with riot gear. This is about to get exciting. But first, folks, very first thing you got to do is get the Noble. I mean, it looks to me like, everyone thought, oh, we're safe now that Trump's get in. This is when the fighting's beginning, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we aren't even, let's put it this way. You ever watch those big planes, monsters planes, very big, going down the runway? It looks like it could never get off the ground when you're standing right beside it. And it starts barreling down the runway. It's doing 80, it's doing 120, it's doing 160. You can outrun all the cop cars. It's doing 200, and that nose wheel comes off the ground. It starts to rotate. We haven't even rotated yet. We haven't got all of our cabinet positions in place yet. We haven't even fully gotten off the ground yet, but we're moving. And it just, if you're going out to do the races out at Bonneville or any of the dry lakes, 200 miles an hour, man, 200-mile-an-hour club, that's quite a feat. You don't realize just how much that really, really is in a lot of situations. We got supercars now that do it. You can buy them from the dealer, but that didn't used to be the case. But still, getting up to altitude, getting up to speed, we're not even close to where this administration is going to end up. And so, hold on.
Look what he's done in 10 days. I mean, or whatever, 12 days, 11 days. By the time people are watching this, it'll be about 12 days. I mean, this has been, just like I've said, we've said on my show, strike hard and fast. It's like he's moving, taking, you said it yourself, Trump, they think they're thugs. They haven't met the thug yet. Trump is the thug. Right?
Yeah. they're thugs amongst other small-time thugs. Look where we started out. Picking up the gang leaders that can take over a whole entire apartment complex, a whole complex. Okay, yeah. All right. We're moving from that to people that take over whole counties. We'll get them dealt with. They won't be pushing too many people around too long. They want to do their protests and all that. Fine. It just makes it easier to identify them with their facial recognition next time they go to Walmart. And by the way, they picked up just a couple of people at a Walmart up in Colorado, right? And lady comes back a week later and videotapes at the same Walmart. The aisles are completely bare. Nobody.
I saw this.
Okay.
I
It
saw
was like,
this. It's
what
empty.
in the world? This is on a Friday afternoon and there's nobody in there? Yeah, because everybody's afraid to come down there. It's and by the way, as I said, all the way along, I said most of the people will self-deport. You're not going to have to, come in there. Oh, hold on a second. Let me just send this to voicemail. Hold on a second or whatever. I got a call coming in that's messing with us. And so apologize on that. And there we go. Sorry about that. I had somebody that was calling and I can't block them on the here sometimes.
Here's my theory though. Juan. Claudia Scheinbaum is being defiant. She works for the cartels. What is she going to have? What's going to be her move? What is going to be Mexico's move? I mean, they're already slapping tariffs on us, which I think our GDP is only 1.something%. With Mexico's sending products into Mexico, it's kind of ridiculous. What are they going to do? What do they have to? I mean, it seems to me like they're going to have to fight or die.
Well, there's times where people, they won't back down. They're so vested in a particular position that the only option is, go ahead and fight. Sometimes you just got to let them fight. And it's just like the gang members here in the country. They think because of the way the game's been played that it's just going to be the same. We had a few people that did a video I saw earlier today who were being deported going back to Colombia. And they're being interviewed in Colombia. We'll be back. We'll be black. You can't stop us. Your own government's going to stop you. We're not going to stop your own government. Why? Because we said we're going to send them the bill. We have to pick people up here and they go in jail here while we're getting ready to deport them back. And if we got to feed them and house them and everything, we'll send you the bill. So these governments themselves are going to start, penalizing them. They think it's just them. They'll penalize their families. If they got property, they'll take the property, etc. We won't have to do it. They'll do it because we're going to put sanctions on them if they won't raise the wall and tell people to stay home. And part of this too, let me just add this. It's a very important part of this whole thing. These people are here because their governments are so utterly dysfunctional that they don't feel safe there and they don't feel like there's a future for them there. They come here and they're baited here through various frauds to come to America, and the people have been weaponized against America, these citizens from all over the world, by these globalista who want to break America. When we send them back, they have had a taste of what America's like and how things can work. Even as dysfunctional as America's been these last many years, it's still better than a lot of the other places. They're going to go home and we're going to actually help those governments to do the right thing. And to the extent that they won't do the right thing, because remember, Nino, this is a really important part of this whole conversation. The people that are now cooperating with the Justice Department, who have now begun to be brought in and put in a protected status, who are going to ultimately be testifying concerning globalista operations, nation state level operations to steal the vote in America over many, many elections. But the most important one, 2020. It's
Careful, Juan.
not over yet.
Just be careful because this is still fluff tube. We're still, But what do you think
Nino,
about
hey,
cash?
hey, wait a second. I got a question for you. Okay,
I
now I'll be
know.
very careful. I'll be very careful. I know you're just okay. Hand ring. Okay, everybody, hand ring with Nino. Hand ring. Okay. Relax. I'll do this just right. Do you think that this capping off of conversations
No.
is going to stand very long? Okay.
No, but it is right now.
All
So
and all I'm saying is that's one of the main targets. So those people that are pushing the buttons, flipping the switches, they got to think about the fact that that was then, this is now, and you don't want to be part of the problem. You may be yourself having to be answering subpoenas about who told you what to do, when to do it, where was the memo, what's going on. Every action, every single communication is going to get scrutinized along the way here. We know who was behind the scenes, but you participating, you might be relatively innocent because you're just doing your job and you may not have conducted any criminal activity, but the appearance of evil and participation and joining in isn't going to look good on that career application for the next job. America's tones, tastes, flavors are changing. Where do you think all those people are going to go try to get a job that just got kicked out on their ass from the FBI, the Justice Department, and 100 other places?
Let's talk about that for a second. How many people have been fired from the FBI? How many people have been given their walking papers right now from the FBI?
Well, it's not just that. A number of agencies, they've been informed that if they want to leave, they've got a short period to leave with their benefits and they'll get some pay and like that. And if they want to stick around and see if they can survive what's about to happen, great. But you won't get the same deal down the road. So a lot of them are in this mode where, gosh, can I win in the current environment? See, there's a sea change. Right here on the beach the other day, we had huge waves. All the guys were out surfing because it was great. It's relatively calm today. There's a sea change that happened. That wind and storms and all that, that's gone downrange. We're in a different moment. And this here again, with the next storm that's coming in, you'll have monster waves again. You have to read what's going on in the weather conditions. A lot of these people think that it's same old as has always been before, and their people will get this under control. No, they won't.
No, I think their heads are spinning right now. I think they cannot believe how fast he's moving.
That's right. So if you're on the wrong side of history and you're hunkering down, just like those girls saying, "We'll be back to America. You can't stop us." Well, that was then. This is now. Don't be quite so cocky, because the other thing is, if we've sent you home and you show back up here, we're going to incarcerate you. The next time won't be get put in an airplane again. They'll get incarcerated. And that incarceration won't be a week or a month or a year or 2 years. It could be years. All those Walmart stalls and stadium stalls that they wanted to put the rest of us in, places out in the middle of the desert with a big fence around it, you might end up there. And by the way, if you run with the wrong crowd, as the president just said the other day, Gimmo is open for business. Gimmo is open. 30,000 people can be there. Hey, there's not housing for 30,000 people. Oh, big, very big, very big. We have a bunch of FEMA ships. They built a harbor out with all sorts of concrete piering, so we can park all the FEMA ships that were set up as hospital ships. And they aren't freaking set up as prison ships. They were planning that for the rest of us if these Marxist communists that got to stay in power, like Bass, the governor of, or the mayor of Los Angeles. She's an open Marxist.
All right,
We
so
shouldn't
I
be
can't put this
blocked
on
from
YouTube
saying
now.
that.
So
Oh, fuck. Give me a break. Well, see, there you go.
But I mean, I tell you before we go live, and then
But she says she's a Marxist. She doesn't hide it. Why can't you say that? She admits it's in all the other press. It's on other places in YouTube. Give me a break. That's the question. You can't tell the truth. If you can't tell the truth, what's the use of it?
Yeah.
So we only get to repeat the lies or say the king has clothes when he doesn't in this location. I'm telling you, that's the whole point. Even within the people that are there to protect you, do not fight the last war. We're on to the next phase. In fact, I'd be challenging them. I dare them to take you down for what I just said, Nino. I'm serious. I dare them to take you down for saying that the mayor of Los Angeles is an open Marxist. I dare them.
Oh.
And your people that are reading this, looking at it, they've got to understand a new sheriff is in town. Operate accordingly. And I'm very, very, very serious. I'd take that as a badge of honor. Let them take you down for saying that in the public. Be the first one to step over the line and say, hey, sheriff, you going to operate that way again now? You don't think that there's legal stuff already being put in place, including executive orders regarding the behavior of media, mainstream locations? You think that they're too big here for Trump to kick him in the ass? He just showed the president of Colombia. What, you think this location's bigger and more important than the whole nation of Colombia? You think that you can run with those thuggish women that, we'll be back, you can't stop us? I'm very serious, Nino. I'd let them
what do you think's going to
cross
happen
that
with
line
this?
and see what happens to them. I'd be the
What do you
first
think-
one out there. Be the
What do you
scout.
think?
I'm
What
sorry,
do
go
you?
ahead.
No, I'm just saying. What do you think is going to happen with these protests? I mean, they're being funded by Soros, correct?
Well, anybody that wants to fund them, let them spend their money. The American people are not in the same condition they were last time. They want to go out and burn something down, they'll spend the next 10 years in prison. This is not 5 years ago, Nino.
Right.
It is
And I would
not.
imagine we could send a military and then just round them all up.
Well, the whole point, if they want to stick their head out from underneath the rock they've been hiding under
I mean, talk about low
for the
hanging
last several years. That's what I'm telling you, Nino. I'm telling you, out in the audience, everybody's saying the same thing. Nino. No, it's not the same as it was before. And we're not even 2 weeks into this, Nino. It is not the same. You think that they're going to be able to get their community guidelines to float with the public with where this is going? What I just said is tiddlywinks. It's playtime. It's baby talk. You're about to enter an era with some of the things that are about to happen. I mean, in days, not months, that I'm aware of, that if they won't let you talk about it, they'll be totally irrelevant. And they're moving towards irrelevance because the public will go other places because they don't want to have baby talk. They want to be able to discuss what the hell just happened. Are you kidding me? Your ears, look, Trump, think about this, Nino. Trump is talking wide open, full blast. Well, I think the IRS, we got to. I've said that 1,000 times. I've been talking about this for 15 years before it's all over. IRS is gone, not reinvented, gone. Why? Because it's a private corporation. It's a Puerto Rican corporation. It's paying off the debt, freaking globalists. That doesn't even exist. It's based on frauds. Federal Reserve, Gonzo, Toast, History, Power, private banking organization. Trump's on his way to destroying that, wiping
revenue
it out.
service now, right?
Yeah, external, because we're going to do tariffs. Instead of shipping all our money out to everybody else, we're going to force them to, if they want to do business with us, they got to play on an even playing field. They haven't been playing on an even playing field.
When do we start arresting? We're firing everybody now, but when do we start arresting?
Nino, oh my gosh. You don't start at the top a lot of times. You start with people out at the periphery. Why? Because they continue to give you evidence and things like that. We've had several amazing arrests over the last week or so. Spies, nation state level spies out of the monetary system to China within various government agencies. They're not made a big deal of quite yet, but those canaries are singing like you can't believe. Why? Because they know the people doing the interviews do not have to exaggerate. Well, these charges that, if we only went with 2 or 3 and there's about 100 here, life in prison, 400 years in prison. I don't know if you're going to live 400 years, but there is new technology. The medical's pretty good. We don't feed you that crap that they've been feeding you out in the public. We might feed you really good. You might live 400 years. We'll give you the right treatment. But it's going to be 400 years. You want to talk, or you going down with the ship? Those people are singing like canaries, and they're trying to explain themselves. Well, I was just doing what I was told. They asked me to do this, and it seemed okay because they're official people, and they have the right to, because they're in that position. So I just did what they asked me. Oh, okay. And so and so asked you to do that. So and so said it was okay to do this. So you're working for this committee doing that? Okay, yeah. And you're a contractor? Nino, it's epic. And the clean out over at Justice Department, clean out at FBI, all those attorneys that were hired after the January 6th stuff, that were hired just to do the investigations related to January 6th, FBI agents and federal prosecutors. They were hired, and they were hired based on an understanding during the hiring process that they would handle these kinds of cases, and then they would deal with them a certain way, that they'd be thuggish in their behavior towards these kinds of defendants. And so, okay, good. Well, and they were hired on probation. They were still on probationary status up until just before Biden left office. In other words, you don't operate correctly, you don't be mean enough in the right way, you're not aggressive enough in your prosecutions, then we might let you go. So they were all operating at the top of their game. That's why they were being so harsh, so cruel in dealing with January 6th defendants, including the jailers, by the way. So now they've all been fired. Biden made their positions permanent. He says, well, I think there might be a problem there. So no, we're not going to go along with what Biden did, and Trump's fired them all. Where are they going to go get a job? America's moving conservative. Where are they going to go get a job? What's their future? Oh, well, these companies are, they think this way. Excuse me, whole law firms that were built around certain principles of liberal thuggishness are going to be wiped out.
Juan, do you think that caravans that were carrying the illegal immigrants here, in the beginning, that were funded by Soros and everybody, do you think we're going to be seeing caravans of them leaving back?
Well, there will be a bunch of them. But let me add to that, Nino. You're here, you got a few bucks, you've acquired a few assets, blah, blah, blah. The president of Colombia did a news conference yesterday based on what happened with Trump, and asked all the Colombians to come home. Now, why do you think he did that? He did that because Trump threatened that we're going to send you the bill for whatever it costs us to pick these people up, process them, house them while we're waiting for airplanes to send them home. Because we can't send them back home through Mexico, can we? I mean, Mexico's not agreed to it, so we'll just have to put them on airplanes. So we need more airplanes. And we're going to send you the fuel bill, the housing bill, the food bill, everything. Our guys, we have pretty good police officers and ICE people. They're pretty expensive. They got retirements and all that. So we're going to send you the bill. Might be a while before Colombia gets a chance to get any more aid from America, assistance, etc. And by the way, if you start crying out to your neighbors and making it hard for us in other places, we can make it hard back. Any neighbor of yours that does trade with you, we're going to raise the tariff on them for trading with you.
Do you expect Claudia Sheinbaum, the Mexican president, to respond like the Colombian president? I know the Mexican people are very prideful and they'll go down with the ship. And especially if she's controlled by, obviously she is, controlled by the cartels and China, they're not going to just bend over and let Trump give it to them. Not at all.
Well, there's two things there.
What are they going to do?
Two things. Magnificent Seven. The people of Mexico are being run by a bunch of thugs and have been for a long time, much as we are, and are there through election fraud, literally. So remember, the Cubans were running the Venezuelans that were running the vote machines, and that's what will be in the public discussions everywhere, including at this location right here, Nino. Cuban intelligence officers were running the people, pushing the buttons and pulling the strings on elections all over the world. Cuba, its largest embassy in the world, in Mexico. Okay? You don't think they were pulling the levers on the elections in Mexico? Give me a break. Of course they were. The Mexican people are not going to be happy as they find out a lot of this stuff, but part of the cure is we show how it was done to us here, and we are, and it's going to be epic. And then we help the rest of the world. The president of South Korea is in jail right now because of election fraud, and he tried to go up against it. We're going to help him. We're going to get there. We're going to help him because we're not going to let it stand. We're not going to let the commies own South Korea. South Korea for the people, we're coming for you. And those thugs that are inside your system that are going to try to stop it, they got a problem. Because the Chinese aren't going to be allowed to get away with this. Chinese officers were running the Cuban officers that were running a lot of the election stuff. That's the ones that are over in Serbia. And even in Canada, we're not going to stand for it. And Chinese running the cartels into America, we're going to go kick them all in the ass. And if they won't let us talk about it in the open right here, then they will become irrelevant. And by the way, there's a lot of investigating needs to be done. They need to decide which side they're going to be on, the American people's side, or they're still going to run with that globalista crowd and think that they're safe. New sheriff in town. There's nobody so big that we can't come up with an angle.
That tells me that we're on a trajectory. We're in a trajectory to go to war with China, most definitely, right?
Oh yeah, well that's not going anywhere, and that's going to continue to double down for quite a long time. It's not stopping anytime soon.
I'm surprised they didn't take Taiwan. I can't believe they didn't take Taiwan. I thought they would take Taiwan right now.
Because the people of Taiwan wouldn't let them. It may sound you can militarily come in and take control of the location. That doesn't mean you can defeat the people. Look at the armor. Look at the technology. Look at the numbers that have gone into Afghanistan numerous times. My buddy, two-star general who worked in Afghanistan, he got 2 Enfield rifles from the mid-1800s. From the Afghanis that they were fighting. He actually bought them from them, gave them decent money for them. They're very, very, very valuable antique rifles, okay? Those old sticks and stones, and yet nobody owns Afghanistan. The Afghan people are still in there. You're going to come into America and pull that bullshit. We're a big country, a lot tougher than most people realize. And so is South Korea, so is Taiwan. The people have freedom in their hearts. China can come in there, but they're going to have a rough hair day.
All right,
And
I
they
have
can
a
even
question.
try to impose everything on them, but that doesn't mean they'll succeed.
All right,
It will
Juan, I
be
have
a
a
very
question.
hard day for them. Go ahead.
How are we going to go into Mexico once the cartels start fighting back, especially if Mexico's so defiant? I mean, could that turn into another Vietnam if you're going to be going down into their neighborhoods and tunnels trying to take out the cartels? I mean, what would that even look like if we send in
Well,
our troops?
if you understand, we designated those groups as terrorist organizations. And by the way, if China's going to come in and do nation state level stuff with the cartels, with armor and pushing drugs into America, etc., well, they're a long way from home. That's right next door for us. And we have just been hamstrung by a bunch of collaborators here within our system. Their activities have been treasonous and traitorous. So, with this new sheriff in town mentality, that's about to be turned on its ear. And we're not going to continue that way. And so they're going to have a problem because once we start pushing back, it's been open field for them. Nobody's pushing back on them. It's been patty cakes. Ooh, we seized the little drugs. They bring 1,000 pounds more in. How many people in your audience, Nino, know either as a family member or a close friend's family, someone that died from fentanyl? I'll bet you it'd be hard.
I know people personally. I know about 6 people.
And then you add to that, and how many have been damaged or are no longer functional because of these drugs being brought in, pushed into America. And by the way, all these innocent, nice people, I was talking just this morning with someone who had a neighbor that got picked up yesterday morning. And it was all nice conversation, blah, blah, blah. And she was such a nice woman. We didn't know that much about her. But one of the neighbor kids said, yeah, but when she got here, she had 20 pounds of fentanyl on her. And that's what she sold. So she had the money to buy the house that she is in right now. She got here with the drug money, and then she got to buy a house. 20 pounds of fentanyl. So she got here over the dead bodies of Americans. Don't you get it? They look innocent, but they've done all sorts of criminal activity to get here. Her life was more valuable than some neighbor's life in that exact neighborhood where she came to. She traded somebody's child's life, probably a couple, for her padded room. That doesn't piss you off. You're not getting it.
Well, it makes me I understand it. I get it. I'm right here on the border, Juanito. I know what's going on.
But you see, even there, our own government's shipping them all over the country, drilling holes in the foundation of America. We have lots of work to do. You ever watched those videos where you have a sub crew or a ship crew that works below the water line, and they have to save the sub while it's got leaks popping all over the place, pipes blowing when they're doing these test things, and the guys are working feverishly to shore up the hull and to stop the leaks and close the valves to save their lives. You're in a sinking ship, and now Trump has turned the guys loose to go in there and shore this thing up, keep it afloat, alive. Keep the ship of state of America alive long enough that we can actually get back in the fight.
See what it says right here, Juanito?
And that's exactly where we're at. It's so desperate when that happens.
President Trump declares Mexican cartel narco terrorists officially terrorist by the Department of Defense and Homeland Security. War has been declared against these criminal acts, against these criminals. Expect the first strike soon. Any day, and this is U.S. Homeland Secretary of Defense. So there could be a first strike any moment now. So it's heavily armed as the CJNG unless you deploy the full might of the U.S. military to take them out. These guys are all former Mexican special forces with training and equipment. They're getting ready for war, Juan. These guys are getting ready for war. I mean,
Okay,
the
so
U.S. Homeland Secretary of Defense says expect the first strike soon. This could happen any moment now. Could happen tonight.
well, and again, that's as I've said, that was then, this is now, because we're facing a national security issue. The people that were in office that just got voted out of office were a national security threat to everyday Americans. Why? Because they were inviting the rapists, the murderers, the drug dealers into America. That has now stopped. These guys are pissed. And we've gone in and started to pick up the ringleaders of the gangs inside of America. We haven't gone for the general populations hardly at all. 1,800 a day, be a lot more than that. But we're going for the worst of the worst. I think I was talking to you right in the zone of when we had the inauguration. I had guys, as Trump was speaking after he had done the initial inauguration, while I was downstairs talking to a lot of people down in the foyer at the base of the Capitol, who got their orders to be deployed for special operations. That's how fast Trump's people were working. And the orders had already been written. They started going out through the files, through the ranks, and people were getting their orders. You will report here for such and so, be ready to deploy. And they were getting in position. I got people that are getting ready to go to South Korea right now because of what's going on there, by the way, and have got their orders in various forms, not just straight military. It's a
Here's what it looks like.
huge deal.
Here's what it looks like in LA, Juanito. Right here. Blocking a freeway.
Okay. Hey, Nino.
This is gonna get wild.
Okay, so let me give you a couple little hints. All those people there. Anybody carry their cell phone with them today when they went there to pry it? Anybody wearing a face mask to block their ID, a bandana, etc.? Oh, well, by the way, if you did wear a face mask to go there, did you take it off a block away? Did you take it off when you got back in your car? You don't think we had not just one, but 100 surveillance locations, 1,000 surveillance locations going on, getting facial ID? And then when you turned your phone back on, we didn't figure out who you were. Exactly. We'll find them all, every last fucking one of them. Okay. They think they're going to tell us how we're going to run our country. And that's part of the whole point. Sorry, different sheriff. And now we have so much tech to be able to go locate these people that hasn't even been turned on yet, because it was never serious before. So about the time they start figuring out that this is now, not then, it'll already be too late for them. And the ones that don't want to self-deport and go comfortably, when they get picked up, well, we might be backed up. You might be in a detention center for 6 months, might be a year, might be 5 years. Okay. You want to challenge whether or not you should be here and like that. Remember, just Gitmo alone, Trump says we can hold 30,000. We'll only put the toughest and meanest of the bunch. But if you're associated with a gang leader, if you're walking around carrying a firearm, if you're somebody that's robbed from grandma down the street, well, you go in with the rest of them and, have a nice rest of your life. It might be a long time before things calm down, but we're serious. And by the way, as the numbers get knocked down, and first we're dealing with 15 million or 30 million, and it's down to 10 million and 5 million and 1 million. Oh, the tougher they get, the more concentrated we get. This is not patty cakes. And the American people also, if you're going to start getting in the face of the American people, it's one thing when we didn't have our government on our side. Let me add one thing. This is really important. In fact, I want to slow down here for a second. A lot of people in this audience, and I've said this before to this exact audience, Nino, a lot of people in this audience complain and fuss. Trump is so he just talks mean, and he's just too aggressive, and it's that New Yorker thing. And I hate it. Is there anyone in the political system right now that has the resolve and the guts to stand up against the thuggery that we were presented with by these other presidents? And we're at the little baby guys, Colombia and Panama. Oh, shit, give me a break. A few gang leaders and some Soros paid, people out walking the freeway. See how long that lasts. Okay. But when you get to the nation state level, what do you want? Casper Milquetoast? Well, could we have a conference and we'll bring everybody, and can we just get along and we'll all have a latte? Okay, if you want a latte, we'll have spring water and the table. Do you want a round one or an octagon one, or should it be square? Just a square table. What do you think? Let's all get along, okay? You kidding me? You need someone. You're dealing with thugs. You're dealing with Capone. If you turn your back on them, they'll hit you over the head with a baseball bat. You kidding me? They've already sent all the murderers out of their prison to America. All the insane people that they've driven crazy in their own system, they sent them to America. All the rapists to come here and rape your babies and your grandchildren. For real. They are monsters beyond comprehension to a sane people.
They're Satan worshipers.
About to be
A
done,
a lot of them are demonic, Juan. They actually worship Satan, these MS-13 gangs.
But that's absolutely true. That's exactly the point. You're dealing with people that are, even at the leadership, demon possessed, or allowing, entertaining demons in the way that they conduct practices in their own country. So with that in mind, would you name the leader? Name any of them, even some of them that we like, Nino, that have the inner fortitude. And by the way, Trump, in military terms, a guy that's seasoned, that's been in battle, that's heard the bullets going by their head in real combat, and had their ears ringing from an explosion just yards away. That type of seasoning doesn't just happen. You don't even just train for that. Battle tested, battle hardened, battle ready. Trump is that guy at the highest levels you can get. So if they want to have that kind of a fight, Trump's the guy.
So let me ask you this.
Who else is in that position? Nobody else is Trump.
Nobody else. But let me ask you this. The cartels right now have to be sitting there thinking, what the fuck do we do? Well, it looks like to me like they're going to have to strike. They're going to have to do something, Juan. They're either that or they die on the vine, and they're not willing. Fight or flight. I mean, die on the vine or fight.
Okay, Nino, I want to say something to this whole audience and to you, Nino. You haven't seen America's military with the handcuffs off. You have no concept of all of the intelligence capability of the American military. Even gangs supported by China, not happening. Look, they're going to bring in
So what do we
some
do?
heavy
Do we
duty.
just completely decimate Mexico, or are they going to be
No,
strategic strikes on
but
cartel
those areas
homes,
in
tunnels?
Mexico, that the Mexican government can't control and contain themselves. And if they're unwilling or unable or unwilling to ask us to help them, you know, they're terrorists. We've
What I'm asking
just
is, they're
established
not going to
if
just
they're
let
terrorist
us. Are we just going
organization,
to
we can
invade?
go anywhere in the world by international law. If they're terrorists meeting the criteria of terrorists at an international level, we can go pick them up, take them into custody, or blow them to smithereens anywhere in the world we have to. And we're
I
gonna.
mean, in one day, this has escalated like what would usually take 10 years in one day.
Okay.
Trump has got to
Good.
know. I know. No, I'm just saying, but
You're
Trump
the
has
one
got
that
to
said rip
know.
off the Band-Aid, and so
Yeah,
people in this audience, rip off the
I
Band-Aid,
agree.
rip off the Band-Aid. Okay, it's here. Don't complain. We told you it was
No, I'm
coming.
all for it. I'm all for it. But I'm saying is, Trump's got to know they're going to strike first. He's got to anticipate this. He's got to know he's probably baiting them in, right?
You think he doesn't know that? I dare you.
I'm saying he knows that. So they're going to make the first move.
Of course, that's what I'm also telling you. Even within the people that want to stop us from having an honest conversation, you could name 100 different locations. They think he's going to be overwhelmed. No, he anticipated all of them. And by the way, it's not just Trump. Remember this. Trump was invited to run. Who invited him? What do they got in mind? Trump is a tool. Trump is an icon. Trump is there because he has certain legal authorities given to him by the electorate, the American people. And he is going to exercise all of those legal tools. But the people that helped to get him to office legally, they now have legal license to do what they do. And that includes kill people and break things. These monsters that have been ripping the guts out of America, raping and killing and pillaging and destroying, are going to have a really bad hair day. And a lot of them won't survive that bad hair day because they don't understand that the times, they are a changing.
So it's on. It's
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 on.
go time. How long do you think this takes, Juanito? A few months, a few years, a decade?
A decade. But let me qualify that, after World War II, which was pretty messy, when you get to the guys that were freeing the camps and what they encountered, the horrors that, farm kids that grew up around Model A's and T's and Duesenbergs and the 20s with a certain kind of view on life, when they opened the door on those camps, when they went through monstrous events in battle scenarios, one of my relatives was flying a B-26, and he actually either tied or did the most missions over Germany at 78 missions, I believe it was, which you got to go home after 25. He just chose he had to stay because he didn't want the younger guys. He had so much experience, he just felt responsible. He just couldn't leave because he had a responsibility to the younger guys to help him survive. So he stayed. And but on the last mission of his first 25, his partner, his co-pilot, who is really his best friend, a piece of shrapnel came through the windshield and took his head off right beside him. He bled out right there. Heart didn't stop pumping immediately. It was a horrible, horrible scene. And he had to complete the mission. You can imagine all the aerosolized blood from wind coming into the cockpit, and everybody else still had to do their duty. They all knew what had happened, and he still had to fly the plane and get the mission done. Hours and hours and hours. This is even before they started their bomb run, and they completed that. You don't think that what has happened in America over the last many years hasn't had an impact on the American people, that they have been battle hardened and are now ready to complete the mission. But yet in Germany, when the war ended in 1945, the spring, there was still what they called wolf packs, groups of Germans that they knew if they got caught, they were going to go to be hung, that had been involved in all sorts of atrocities. So they tried to rally groups to attack the Allies, to hold certain positions, to protect stuff, to keep the rat lines going, to get people out to other locations in the world and survive this. It really wasn't until the early 50s that for the most part, it completely subsided. It took quite a bit of time. And you cannot allow the corruption, the mischief, the foolhardy activities that have gone on in America with these people getting strong positions in the country that long and expect that it's over in a day or a couple hours. And you can't cry uncle or give up just because they get their licks in a couple of places. This morning I had reports on the movement of man pads down across the border into the U.S. and nearby areas. Those man pads can be used against aircraft, mostly not at altitude, but in the takeoff landing phase. Is there a risk for us here? Yeah, you better freaking believe it. There's other stuff coming. Is this going to be over easily or quickly? No. But the other side of the coin is those people that want to up the game and play in that, how do you think we even know about the material that you're moving right now? And what makes you think that those microwave weapons that were used to light LA on fire couldn't be used to just light you on fire? And by the way, if you go underground, even underground, the metal gets lit up and melts. Go look at the underground culverts made out of metal that melted in Maui, 6 feet under the ground. We have pretty good track on a lot of places. And a lot of those guys are so naive. You've worked so long to get so ready. You're in such great shape, ready to start the war. And you won't even realize until you're standing outside your body, looking at your melted corpse full of holes and all the guys around you. And the demons grab you by the shoulders to take you to your fiery hell. What the hell hit you? That's how fast it'll happen. This is a different day and a different hour, Nino. And everybody needs to take heart. Look, when that relative climbed back into that bomber on the 26th mission, the 50th, the 75th, and 76th, and 77th, and 78th, you don't think that he was fully aware that every single time, if you go by the odds, it's only a matter of time. He had 3 of them shot out from underneath him, had to bail. Got back home and got in another one. That is Americans. And we're not backing off. And right now, Nino, you've seen it, you felt it when you're in the ring. You can feel it in your opponent. They're beginning to lose their punch.
Yeah. Killer
like
instinct.
a shark in the water. You realize that their moment is coming. Everybody in this audience should feel that way. Everybody in this audience should understand that. This is no time to act wimpy. Knuckle down harder. All of our enemies need to succumb to us. at this point in time. They've been having a free for all at our expense. They've been raping America. And you get a chance to get up and put the freaking iron to their head. But when they decide to succumb, when they submit to getting the handcuffs put on them, when they go back home and have to deal with their own people, the people of Mexico, just like in Magnificent Seven, we'll come help them. They got to take control of their city. They got to take control of their country. And with our help, where we show that the frauds are happening in their electoral system, it can happen. It can happen. It will happen. Freedom is contagious, and Americans feel it coming right now. And the guy that's leading the way in this bullfight, going after the bull and forgetting the shit, going right past the shit and putting the sword right down to the heart, up to the hilt, in the back of the bull, is Trump. He's the Magador, and everybody in this audience should operate accordingly. It's not that he alone does it. We're all Magadors. Nino, my heroes are the people in your audience. And I don't say that lightly, because they're all of a sudden ready to take a stand. If these fucking assholes want to pull you down, let them. I dare them to, because it's a different thing. They will become irrelevant. You might be the last guy there, but there's a moment where we don't even need buggy whips anymore. Let's move on. These losers, that was yesterday. They were calling the shots. American people are done with it. Let's move on. Let's go take out the monsters and get back to what America was great doing.
You know, Juanito, I saw Claudia Scheinbaum in her last few press conferences. She looks nervous. She doesn't look like she doesn't look like a lady that's confident. She's trying to put on the face, but I don't know. I can read body language pretty well from being a fighter, and I'm telling you right now, she's not. She is fucking nervous.
You think she shouldn't be?
Well, think about it. The cartels are going to get her, or Trump's going to get her. She's a dead man walking, or she's
No,
a dead.
her best option right now, Nino. I'll tell you what her best option is.
Come clean with Trump.
He embraces Trump and the American way and goes against the cartels. Or, sorry, she'll be roadkill. Won't be our fault.
Yeah, but the cartels, she doesn't do what the cartels want. She's dead overnight.
You know,
I mean,
I'm telling you, Nino, hold on a second. We take care of people that want to work with us. I guarantee you she's already had the offer. I know she has. And she rejected it. We'll help.
You know that she has? Like, you're saying that as a statement.
She has been given an offer. She doesn't, she blew it off. Okay, well, you deal with it then. Don't blame us. And by the way, the Mexican people, they won't give her a pass for allowing the cartels to run roughshod over them. The Mexican people are victims of the cartels. You know, it's more dangerous to live in Mexico than it ever was to live in Afghanistan. Way more dangerous. And the people that should be the most upset and concerned are the women. You got a woman president. The women in Mexico are more terrorized, hurt, damaged. The mothers of Mexico suffer more than anyone in Mexico. It'll be the women that win back Mexico. And if this president doesn't want to be that woman, there'll be others that rise up. That's what happened in Argentina. It was the mothers, the sisters, the women that put an end to Galtieri. And that's what will happen in Mexico. I guarantee it. You know, Mexico, the people are people of faith. Most of them, they want to come up here and work in America. And we want them for seasonal jobs and stuff like that. And they want to go back home. They don't want to stay here. It's not their country. They're a bit sensitive. We had a great work visa program with Mexico for a century. And it got destroyed. The people from Mexico come up seasonally, work. They were super helpful, super useful. Everybody built around them even. And that relationship got damaged and destroyed. I guarantee you, before it's all over, we'll have something similar again. And we'll work a deal out with Mexico with a new government that decides to work with us. Won't be today or tomorrow. But the other side of the coin is, are we going to let them be a safe spot for terrorism? Did we let Cuba? You know, that's what the Cuban Missile Crisis was all about. We're not letting you put nukes in Cuba and threaten us and have that, 10 minutes from our cities. Well, it's the same thing now. You got these terrorists, you're going to let them hole up right up on our border. And by the way, they're not terrorists just to the American people when they get these people here. They're terrorists to people from around the world that run through their rat lines. It's done. You're in a different era. They're going to have to think about that, and we're going to help them think. And the ones that can't think this through, process it through correctly, well, we got lots of really amazing weapons, and we will deal with it. Because why? Because it's a weaponized war. We're already taking casualties. Every person in this audience, that's what I said to begin with, every person in this audience knows somebody who's got a child, a relative, a neighbor, a friend, a family that's lost somebody to these monsters and their drugs. Those weapons are being sent in your neighborhood right now. They're silent weapons. It's supposedly a silent war, but you hear the screams. Go listen to the scream of a mother or father that finds their kid dead with fentanyl. Tell me it's a silent war.
It's already, yeah, you're right. It's already been a war. People are already dying. They're called soft kills. But do you think this is going to the hard kills?
And by the way, Nino, by the way, it also weakens our most important population, the ones that come in and replace us, the youth, the ones that actually fight physical wars, computer wars, development wars, our workforce, our future. Our ranks have already been thinned radically. There's a point where if you don't take action, it is too late. On the numbers, you don't have enough to respond with. We gotta change course, and that's exactly what Trump was elected to do. We hired him to do a job. We agreed with the 200 that invited him. Yep, it's got to be done. And
I mean, do you think that
you don't have time? You don't have time to think twice now. The fight's on. There's no going back at this point.
I understand that, but do you think now that bullets start flying here in the States with the cartels, and is this going to get kinetic to the point that it's like guerrilla warfare?
Nino, bullets are already flying. A fentanyl bullet's as deadly as a lead bullet. You understand? The destruction here in America is already been well underway, but it hasn't been countered. We haven't been sending lead downrange the other direction. And at the end of the day, they want to bring bullets, we'll bring microwaves. They want to bring microwaves and other stuff. You haven't even seen what a rod of God looks like if we want to put it in the right spot. And you'll never even know it came down 35,000 miles an hour. We haven't even pulled out the big guns yet. So, and by the way, those people that wanted to get us at war with all these other places, including Russia, it's funny. Years ago, I said before this is over, because the Russians are going to have trials in the Donbass, and because of what was going on with the labs, the 54 labs across Ukraine that were doing advanced weapons development, weaponizing viruses to go after the Slavic people, which Putin had talked about at the UN and other places and tried to make a big stink about, and everybody blew him off. I said, before it's over, the Russians are going to get their hands on Fauci and try him. And now they're asking for Fauci. Please give us Fauci. When Trump negotiates to get the war done in Ukraine, you think he isn't going to grab Fauci by the scruff of the neck and hand him over to the Russians? Oh, Biden pardoned you. Okay, beautiful. Did Putin?
Exactly. That's what I've been saying. They're going to work together on this.
Oh my gosh, because those trials in the Donbass are going to be brutal. Okay, you talk about Nuremberg trials; they won't even wait a day to hang them; they'll have them hung by sunset. Okay, those 30,000 sitting in the Gitmo, whining and crying. Well, we'll have a bunch of political people there too. They'll got front row seats to watch that. All the FEMA ships parked out in the bay. By the way, in that moorings that were built during the Trump administration and after there at Gitmo, they included a mooring system for the Marines. The Marines have an aircraft carrier. A lot of people don't know this. It's not a big monster one like the Reagan or the Ford or something like that. No. It's a smaller one, but it's designed to be able to take the VTOL aircraft. Okay, those vertical takeoff monsters that have the huge props on them, and so they can land it right there. So they don't even have to use the main runway, which might be too active, bringing people in. So the Marines can bring stuff in. And by the way, it's a no fuel run because it's in range to go from South Carolina, from the military base there, straight down to Gitmo and land there on the carrier and drop stuff off there too. Gitmo is going to be a busy place, but you know what? Beyond Gitmo, there's a couple other spots that are getting ready to have drama too. One particular place, we looked at it and we're going, wow, the way they're building that out, they could have a couple 100,000 people or more there, just the way it sits right now, if they want to put enough to a room. And we're putting in a new air defense system and a marine defense system around that whole freaking island, not Gitmo, this other location. There's another location that's a bit further away, and it's all set up too, ready to take people also. We'll have multiple locations with air defense and marine defense systems in place to house nation state level prisoners. You want to talk about it's going to get real. It's already real. And Trump, you think Trump made the statement that Gitmo's ready for business idly? You think he's not going to put 30,000 people down there at Gitmo?
What about the YMCA?
And do it quickly? That was for him, except to take the FEMA ships down there. It's exactly what it was built for. It's set up to take all the FEMA ships and use them as prison ships.
What about the YMCA song, Juanito?
Oh, YMCA right there at Gitmo. It's going to be a lot of fun. They'll probably get to have their little prisoner play once a year. YMCA, why am I here? YMCA, I don't know why I'm here.
Can you imagine if they're fucking playing that shit while you're getting hung?
Oh my gosh.
That would be a living hell.
The one thing scripturally is you don't take pleasure in what happens to your enemy when things like that have to happen. But the other side of the coin is you're not crying either. These people have maimed, killed, murdered millions with their actions.
No,
we're not going to cry when they get justice. And by the way, the other thing everybody here should remember, there's justice in this world, but that's less to be feared than justice in the next. The great white throne judgment is something that's very real. That's what all of these seers and prophets have talked about. Enoch, Daniel, John the Revelator. There is a cost, a price for this murder, mayhem, destruction, for saddling up and joining the devil's crew. You remember the old Westerns, Nino? I remember going to the movie theater as a kid, scraping together enough nickels, dimes, and pennies to go to the movie.
Spaghetti Westerns?
Yeah, well, there was lots of them. There's lots of, before you had spaghetti Westerns, you had even better Westerns back in the late 50s, early 60s. And so the world was a little bit safer in those days. And you go in there, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, get your thing of popcorn and watch the movie, and you could do it all for about 50 cents. And in those Westerns, I remember, and I think it was John Wayne that said it in one of the movies. Somebody here will remember. Well, you better watch what you're saying. You're about to meet your maker. Don't be lying. Think about it. There's a lot of people, they're not giving any thought. There's no God. I don't have to worry about it. Are you kidding me? There's a God. You're going to meet your maker, and then you're going to give account of yourself. That's the great white throne judgment. Everybody shows up. Well, I'm not going. I'm not going. I'm not going. Yeah, you are.
Yes.
And everybody's going to watch you be judged. Everybody will be there to see and hear at that great judgment. The only ones that get any mercy, the only ones that get mercy are the ones that have had their sins forgiven by God, who put on clothes of flesh like we put on a jacket, came and walked among us. Those Christ said, he who has seen me has seen the Father. I and the Father am one. He came and sacrificed himself in our place if we accept it. We don't have to suffer the punishment. But you see, even those people that are doing this, they could be saved in an eternal sense from eternal judgment. But in this world, they're still going to have to face the music. And if they want to bypass it, think that they can just dance around it, even the ones that want to self-terminate because they know what's coming, all they're doing is speeding up the trial. They're not delaying it, not by an instant. You wanna leave this world and all the crisis that you're going to face in this world and being in prison for the next 5-10 years. Okay. Your next breath will be with sulfur before a white throne judgment. It's going to be tough. So, and God's got all the time in the world to work through the details. In that realm, time doesn't exist the way it does here. So, I think
Judgment
everybody
is coming for them no matter
needs
what.
to take it in. Justice is coming, and judgment too. Get on the right side of history. And there's even people. Look, we've got people right now. We had people right after Trump won, and it was obvious at the nation-state level wanted to have a call. Look, could we talk? Yeah, but we're not letting you talk with the other guys. We'll compartmentalize you away. And sure, let's talk. Let's talk at a different location and decide what you want to do. And you got anything that's interesting? Maybe we take that into consideration. But, we're not doing any deals. There's people showing up and they want to be understood. Well, you got to understand what the situation was. And I had to, and I couldn't. I don't know. Okay, well, we'll take that into consideration. What else you got? Remember, 72 countries, Nino, 72 countries had their elections overturned just by this one crew. Venezuelans, Cubans, Serbians, Chinese intelligence officers, and then 20 other groups working with them, including intelligence agency personnel and assets, to overturn the elections in 72 countries and put people in office that weren't the will of the people. And when the people understand that more fully and they know they got a shot at taking them out and putting people that actually represent them into office, and we're going to help them, and then we're going to work with them to get their countries back functional, all those tariffs, we'll have plenty of money. The ones that want to be our friends, we'll help them out. We'll go be our brother's brother. Why? Because we don't want people to have to come to America just to have a good, safe life. We want them to enjoy their locations and then be able to work with them. And they can own their own culture. They don't have to become part of some gray goo globalista guck running the world. Bunch of pedophile monsters, rapists, insaniacs, murderers. Fight's on. It's the most beautiful
Go get
time
it.
in my life. I'm telling you, Nino, all my life, I've been waiting for this moment. And there's a lot of people in this audience. Remember this. I could go down the list. Beautiful men and women. They're not here. They fought the good fight. Many of them I never knew because they were a generation or two before me. Many of them, none of us could ever have known because they're the ones that founded this country. And many of those people never knew because they're the ones that came here as pilgrims and Puritans, just to have a place where they could worship and be out from under the thumb of these bloodline families, these monsters that think that you're their slave for the entirety of your life and they own you. They all fought hard, and now we're at this moment where we get our chance at bat. We're going to smash it out of the park. That freaking ball is going to be threads as it goes over the fence line. We're going to hit it so hard. America's on its way back. American people are on their way back, and that's not just fluffy talk. You watch.
All right,
It's an
Juanito.
amazing
Well,
moment to be alive.
I thank
Love
you
you,
for
bro.
coming on, Juan. I love you too, man.
Everybody say a prayer, deep breaths. And by the way, Nino, one last thing. Tina Peters. Tina, we're all going to take Saturday, February 8th. That's Tina Peters Day. She must be let out of prison. The monstrosity of the prosecution of Tina Peters cannot be allowed to stand. It was a fraud. The whole trial was a fraudulent trial. And Tina Peters Day, February 8th, a bunch of the broadcasters like you, Nino, are all going to be covering aspects of that. Please, everybody show up. And let's look at options, what we can do to see Tina Peters, a Gold Star mom, freed out of this prison in Colorado. And it's time. So,
all right, Juanito, thank you.
All right, bro.
All right, well, I definitely agree there. It's time for Tina Peters to go free. I don't know how, I don't know if it's the same situation. There's the other guy they were still holding, and if Trump did sign a pardon for him and they're still being held, that's not good. It's problematic. It's probably illegal, too. Anyway, guys, that's your updates for today. Not a bad Monday, I guess. Pretty nice weather out, so we will see what this week brings. I just wanted to bring you that tonight while it was fresh. So much love and God bless you guys. I'll be back tomorrow, of course, and we'll keep rolling with everything. We'll see where it goes. Other than that, we're off to a good little start here with Patriot News Broadcasting. I've almost hit my 1 year mark, so can't wait. Anyway, I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night. Sleep well.
Mr. President, so what kind of goofy shit been going on, man? Yeah, this shit ain't looking good. Right, but what you mean by this ain't looking good? Right? You ain't gonna believe this shit. I'm not gonna believe this shit. Man, what the fuck? Just tell me what the fuck going on. What the fuck y'all been doing? You playing too many word games with me, man. Listen, what have you found? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let me just break out my handy dandy notebook. First things first, $50 million going to Gaza. Okay. For condoms. So y'all supporting Gaza getting they fuck on, huh? Like 1.2 billion in just DEI shit. So y'all been diversity, equity, and including shit in your pocket, huh? 1.4 million a year in bubble wrap stress relief. So y'all been getting it popping, spending the people's money, huh? I'm sorry. $600 million a year to the Pentagon for sushi. Oh, y'all are federally fucked now. That shit sounds so good right now. No, that can't be right. It say the IRS spent $230K on cinnamon toast K-cups. Cinnamon toast cake. That's a year? No, a month. So the thing is, in 22 years, it says your department hasn't denied any request for payment, man. A month. That's what we want to talk to you about. Well, the thing about that is, where you going, motherfucker? Hey, pop the trunk.
Secretary of State Rubio is in Panama right now, and we're talking about the Panama Canal. What they've done is terrible. They violated the agreement. They're not allowed to violate the agreement. China's running the Panama Canal. That was not given to China. That was given to Panama foolishly. But they violated the agreement, and we're going to take it back, or something very powerful is going to happen.
We're running a little bit hot tonight. I can barely see the road from the heat coming on. Reach down between my legs, ease the seat back. She's running, I'm buying, right behind it, real deal me now. Got the feeling, powers hearing, busy bobbing, ain't no stopping now. Panama, Panama,
when you actually get a double benefit when you bring down government spending, and it's a very important double benefit, which is that you stop inflation and interest payments go down because the government is no longer borrowing money. If the government is borrowing money, it's actually competing with everyone else to borrow money, and that drives up the interest rate. So if we solve government spending, in a nutshell, your grocery bill stays the same, your mortgage payment goes down, and your car payment goes down, and your credit card bill goes down.
Exactly.
That's
Amen.
I mean, I think that's what the people of America want. I mean, obviously,
Yeah, yeah,
you know,
I
and
I
that's a
couldn't
good
agree.
goal.
I
Yeah.
couldn't